Hey, White Sox fans, guess what? It's Southside Sox Mothership Podcast number 61, a special treat. They're all special. They're all special. This one's really special. We've got two of our most unique writers, two of our most entertaining writers joining forces together for a podcast about corn, belts, songs on repeat, definite pet cameos. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got the veteran Julie Brady joined by the rookie Celeste Radogno. So welcome, both of you. Thanks for getting together. You're making a dream team podcast possible very quickly.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Thanks for having me, bringing me Julie together.
All right, let's jump right into it. Let's talk White Sox. First half of this podcast is going to be just White Sox. Julie, we get to talk about the White Sox, not just the affiliates. Impressions, I guess, first. Maybe I should say that, the Southside Sox podcast is not qualified and is not recommended to dispense legal advice. That said, please weigh in on the belt gate, Lance Lynn and his temper tantrum in the dugout last night as he was asked for a glove equipment check and was injured, was otherwise occupied, and decided to just chuck his belt onto the field and got tossed from the game.
Yeah, I think that Lance Lynn should sue that umpire. That's my advice. My single take on the topic.
Not that we're allowed.
It's very stupid. I didn't see it happen live because I wasn't watching it, but it looked like he just was like, here's the belt. And the umpire was like, seemed pretty innocuous.
I guess the story is he was feeling some injury. He was eager to get to the clubhouse to look into some sort of treatment. He's having sort of a poor game to begin with. I'm sure there's a little bit of frustration. It seemed to me like he was being a bit petulant, but if the recommendation is to sue, again, forget it. We are going to dispense legal advice on this podcast. I don't care. SB Nation Vox, come after us. Celeste.
Barred.
Barred.
I'm the only one allowed to. These other two amateurs here, please, Vox, disregard anything they say. That said, Celeste, what was your take on it all?
So when I was listening on the radio because I was driving down to Champaign when it happened, and I was like, what is going on? And then I checked Twitter later, and someone had like a video of, like, you couldn't really see what happened, but someone zoomed in, so it was a little bit of blurry video. You kind of just see his belt going like over the fence. And I thought it was funny. Like, I don't know.
Very in character for him.
Yeah.
At first,
like,
it seemed...
I can't imagine him, like, he wasn't like chucking it at the guy. He was just like, take it, like, whatever.
I think it's typically sort of like boss Lance Lynn behavior where he thinks he's in control of the process. He's like, the umpire was too late for the check, as if, the umpires, the arbiters are going to be able to be too late, too early, whatever. Sort of like, hey, you had your chance. I'm in the dugout now, so I'm going to throw a temper tantrum. Hey, he wanted out of the game. He was hurting a little bit, 88 pitches. He didn't need the win. He's got enough wins this season.
Absolutely the umpire equivalent of resisting arrest.
All right, let's shift back about a week ago. Hey, another Lance Lynn game. It's a Lance Lynn theme here in this podcast because we're talking White Sox. Lance Lynn pitched the Field of Dreams game. Impressions of that game? Did you both watch it? Obviously, it's seen at least highlights. Feeling about the game in general, the result, of course, we're all very happy with, at least the very ending. But what are your thoughts about that crazy production that we now know the White Sox won't be part of next year?
Well, that last part, we can come back. But yeah, I was in Boston when I was watching it, so like wasn't around White Sox people, but I tried to like rally everybody around me in the bar because I was like, you guys probably hate the Yankees, like let's all cheer together. And like they were so disinterested. So it's like I was with my girlfriend and my cousin, we were being super loud and like high-fiving every time like someone got a home run or whatever, and I was like, yeah, and people were just like, shut up. So like I was that person.
That's not the best atmosphere for the game. Julie, it had to be better for you, even though you are not in the Chicago area.
I was just chilling, here in my apartment in Winston-Salem with all the White Sox fans I know in Winston-Salem. It was, I thought it was just really, really funny from beginning to end. Like the entire, like just the melodrama of it. Like, here we are coming out of like this corn
Mhm.
that we grew for this. Like, here's some, did you notice the corn theme? I felt like there should have been a normal corn belters shout out, by the way, Brett, when you were introducing this episode, because you said corn belters.
I know.
They're right there. They don't
You
get
know,
enough press. I'm not sure if they still exist as a baseball team, by the way. I'm talking about an independent league team in Normal, Illinois called the Corn Belters. It's a long time.
It was, listen, I don't always do this stuff right. And it's fair for you guys to call me out. In fact, frankly, I do a pretty poor job handling all these podcasts, but they just keep making me do them. So, all right. Yeah, I blew the intro there. No doubt about it. The thing I did like about the game, yeah, I guess we can get into how the game is being marketed in a bit. But the thing that jumped out at me, forget the corn. I just like the atmosphere. As a guy who went to school in a baseball city where they were basically playing in a minor league park, which was Arlington, Texas. That's always appealed to me. Julie, I know it does to you as well. Sort of that the intimacy of a minor league park is what makes PNC in Pittsburgh so phenomenal because it has a lot of that feel. That's what really jumped out at me about the game. Wasn't that they were hitting home runs in the corn. It wasn't the Field of Dreams itself. It was the fact you had this intimate game. It was a throwback to 2020 games where there were no fans because things were generally so quiet. You could hear so much more of the field action without having all the other things to distract you and blare at you. And that, corn aside, okay, fine. If you got to do it in Iowa in order to get that atmosphere, cool. But that's what really stood out to me. It's like, wait, we're sort of seeing these teams playing at Boomer Stadium or down in Winston-Salem. And, 162 games of that, maybe not. But here and there, it really jumped out at me as being really unique. And that aspect was way more fun than the Kevin Costner angle or having to listen to Joe Buck apologize for Tony La Russa. There were some low lights of the broadcast. Celeste, you didn't necessarily miss a ton by being in a loud bar, not hearing every word said because there's a lot of winsable moments as well.
Yeah, I didn't hear any words said. So I'll be honest with that.
As long as you could see the uniforms, that was fine. Those were the true star of the game. Those were some really sharp uniforms.
Yeah, and it is about time. I've been trying to beat this drum for a while. I don't think many people would fight against it. I don't know why the Sunday uniforms are constant the way they are. Do we really need that much early 80s nostalgia? I saw games in 1983. I don't care about the uniforms that much. That has to be the perpetual. The White Sox used to trot out a lot more variety. I don't see why they don't pick a neat anniversary for each year, each Sunday. And it should change. It doesn't even have to be something phenomenal. They don't have to have won the World Series because that's not too many uniforms. The idea that the 83s are perpetual is ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember the red pinstripes they used to wear pretty frequently, and those are nice.
Yeah, that was like 1 year they did that as it was the 50th anniversary or whatever it was of that team. They didn't even have the goofy zip off roadies. They wore the powder blues there on the road, like one game. Throw some stuff, get Chris Sale all agitated, pull out the PJs for a game that he's got to pitch against the White Sox. Come on, let's get inside some people's heads, man. Hey, well, you know what? I'm a professional podcast host, so we're going to choose this spot to take a quick break to make sure that we get it in. We're going to do that and come right back with, I don't know, a little bit more of a grab ball. Maybe we will talk about more little corn belts. Who knows what we are actually going to discuss from Florida, North Carolina, and we'll call it Illinois. It's not Chicago, but it's downstate Illinois, the lovely, lovely environs of Urbana, Illinois. We'll be back in just a second with podcast number 61. Hey, it really was just a second. It is Southside Sox Mothership podcast number 61. It's a dream team podcast, and I will take myself out of the frame for that because we've got the veteran, our minor league update writer. Oh, and by the way, she's taking time out. She's got her 4 screens up right now, and she is actually having to pause all of them because she's got to be talking to me and Celeste right now. She can't do her minor league update right now, and it probably, no, it's not going to suffer at all. It's still going to be a very entertaining read and a lot of fun. So check it out. Thursdays and Fridays, it's Julie Brady, the veteran at Southside Sox, doing the updates. And let's just keep calling her the rookie. Why not? I got a theme, and that's what a lousy podcast host does. He just beats the theme to death. It's Celeste Radogno. She's joining us, I believe, for this is maybe a second or third podcast. Love it. Love you hopping on, Celeste. And thanks now having a move downstate, settling in and joining us from lovely Urbana, Illinois. Let's talk a little bit about, well, let's just jump right into it. I'm going to give Julie a chance to answer first. You can tell the background story or not. I don't really care. It probably all it takes is a look at Julie's Twitter feed to probably get the backdrop on this. But I need to know, Julie, is there a song in your life that you've put on repeat many times because you've just loved it so much at that moment?
Well, yeah, but it's not This Love by Maroon 5 for sure. It's more of an involuntary, I've been forced to it on repeat situation.
Have you been able to dig into this? Well, if you don't mind giving us the background of this story and perhaps maybe where the mystery stands at the moment, because the updates just keep coming. I think they're going to stop one day and they keep coming.
Yeah. So last year around like August or September, maybe, I started noticing that I was hearing the song This Love by Maroon 5 all the time. I live right downtown in Winston-Salem. Like I literally live on Main Street. So like I hear a lot of car traffic and I hear a lot of what cars are playing. And I just kept hearing the song This Love by Maroon 5, which I didn't know that was a song the first time I heard it. I eventually Googled it and it's a song.
Yeah, the lyrics committed to memory already. Okay.
Right. It gets stuck in my head. So eventually it happened so frequently that I tweeted about it. I was like, I swear there's just like some person who really loves This Love blasting it downtown at least once a week. And so since then, every time I hear it, I tweet like, here's This Love. And it's like 35 or 40 times by now since November. Who is this person? And like, it's so many weird things have happened where like, I can hear it coming down the block and then they'll like restart the song right outside my building. And sometimes they'll circle the block. It's just so many bewildering, like This Love discrete events, and they're all different from each other. And it's all so confusing and kind of scary. And eventually I did see the car, like I've gotten a visual on the car driving by.
Okay.
Black car. It's got a Steelers decal at the back, North Carolina plates.
Okay.
The one time I was in a position to see the driver, they were going to turn left. And as they turned left and almost came into view, a city bus drove by and my view was obscured and I could not see into the driver's seat. So it could be anyone. It could be literally anyone.
That's going to give you another year of this thread because the mystery deepens. And the reason for the topic, I suppose, is because I just figured, and I'm sure you've already figured this out, you're far brighter than me, Julie, is that maybe that person just loves that song. Maybe the CD can only play that song. Maybe the person still has a CD player. Maybe they just love that song and they put it on repeat. But now it seems like there's a little bit of torment going on of you here.
Well, there is, but there are also songs that I love that I play in the car all the time, but like it's never the same song at the same physical location. Like that's what gets to me. Like every single, and the fact that he blasts it loud enough with his windows down for me to hear it like inside of a stone building is the other part of it. But like just variety. Huh?
It's a message to you.
It's a message to me, but I don't want it to be. What is it saying?
Yeah, and there's no lyrical cue. There's no shout out to Winston-Salem, I'm assuming, in the lyrics of this Maroon 5 song.
Maroon 5.
So the assumption, Julie, is that's not the song that you would choose. Is there a song that has been stuck on a rotation to the point where you've just hit it repeat a number of times?
Yeah, I mean, recently, the last few days, I've been really doing a deep dive into Laura Stevenson's album Wheel, which it's just a perfect album from beginning to end. It's like a little folk punk singer-songwriter kind of indie album, but there's a song on it called The Hole. And I woke up yesterday with a line from The Hole stuck in my head. And the line is, like the aching in my aching hands, only in my head, I woke up with it stuck in my head, like the soup stains on my soup stained hands. And I have no idea why. But now in my mind, every time I play that song, it's like the soup stains on my soup stained hands.
Oh, see?
It's good to try to like understand myself.
Another song you're gonna have to crack the code on by listening to over and over again. Celeste, any of this resonate with you? Something that's been stuck in your head, or that you're continue to play again and again? It could be when you were a kid, for all I know. I don't know. I mean, we've all done it, I think.
The last like actual song, I mean, I guess all songs are actual songs, but the last like song I had stuck in my head was it's called Back to You by Louis Tomlinson. And like, I don't know where I first heard it. I don't listen to anything else by this person. I think like they might have done a cover or something else I like. I don't, no idea. It's a good song. You should look it up. But I also like frequently get out of season holiday music stuck in my head. Like in the summer, I'll just randomly like get flashbacks of Christmas music. And then like, I don't know. It's weird.
In my house, we go through runs sometimes where, yes, we have the holiday music playing, you know, in August, or it's not necessarily a specific song, but that definitely happens, and it is somewhat random because it's August. It shouldn't necessarily be resonating, and particularly in Florida, there's not going to be any snow at any point ever. So can't really say it's just it's a winsome feeling. So it's like, all right, let's throw the holiday music on. I did some research for this podcast that involved looking at the Meet the Players, and I'm not going to dive deep into that because, of course, Celeste, we just went over some of that not long ago on a podcast. But I did want to find the food of choice. Celeste, I believe, was a Comiskey dog. Julie went right to the dessert, churros. I'm slightly on Team Julie there because I don't know if they make Comiskey dogs and veggie dogs, but explain your choices, please.
Well, you know, churros are kind of the spiritual, you know, sibling of hot dogs. Roll
a dessert hot dog
and make it out of something that is not meat, but you know, otherwise it's
your cold food item.
Yeah. I think there's no beef here, especially not in the churro.
Yeah, Celeste, it's just a classic choice. Then you go to a ball game, you smell the hot dogs, you want a hot dog.
Yeah, there's something like a Chicago style hot dog. Though I got a foot long hot dog at the game the other day, and I posted a picture about it, and let me tell you, it created a turmoil on Twitter. Which was like the last thing
does that.
Like literally, like I have opinions about players and like managing, and like people were like really up in arms about this picture of this hot dog I posted, and I was like, this is the pinnacle of Twitter.
I can guess, but what was the controversy involving the photo of the hot dog?
I think it just looked a little bit phallic, and I didn't realize it when I was taking the picture. And I think some people were very strongly offended. Like I had people like tweeting at me like, this is the most disgusting thing in the entire world I've ever seen. Like I would buy it just to throw it in the trash. I was like, you don't even follow me, dude.
Like, you don't understand like a boycott.
I'll admit, Celeste, that was not the controversy. That was not the content I was anticipating. I obviously did not see the picture. So I just thought it was some sort of like quirky condiment, but no, okay, it was a little deeper than that.
No.
Woo. Wow. All right. Well, you'll think twice before you do that again. Hey, speaking of being at games, now, Julie, I don't remember if you'd actually attended Dash games yet or not, but Celeste, you've been to games in at least 2 cities. What's the experience been in person? What's the comfort level? How's that been? Because it's obviously been away a while for good reason, and maybe reason to still practice an awful lot of caution in such circumstances. But what was the experience like?
Yeah, I have been to, I think, 2 Dash games this year and then 1 Knights game. The Knights game, well, the Dash game was opening day, so, you know, masked up, same with the Knights. In the Dash press box, it's like the wall is basically windows, so you can open them all up, and they have like plexiglass, so they did, at least on opening day in between the seats, like felt pretty secure. I think that going to games now, I probably would sit outside of the press box and just like in the open air stands. But it wasn't like as nerve-wracking as I kind of expected it to be the first couple of times.
Mhm. World traveler Radogno, please. The Boston experience, the Chicago experience, parts elsewhere.
Yeah, I went to Milwaukee. I think there's police outside my house right now. Sorry. Not for me.
Urbana!
Yeah. Yeah, I went to Milwaukee too. It was definitely in terms of like people being condensed, that happened most at the home games at guaranteed rate. I just like people like out on the concourse, and there being no vendors definitely brings people together more. Whereas like I was just at Fenway and they have vendors, and more people were masked. I think in general people in Massachusetts just wear masks more often and stuff. So, and Milwaukee was just kind of the same feel as being at guaranteed rate.
I'll mention that because we've been interrupted by trains when Julie and I have spoken in the past. I like the fact that your building, your apartment, your house sounded like it was about to take off from the ground, and you may actually be traveling in space, Celeste. We don't really know. You may actually be hovering above the ground based on the sound we just heard. So hopefully everything is all right there, and you're not going to have Wizard of Oz experience. Wait, hold on. You also went to Wrigley Field.
Oh yeah, I did.
Weren't gonna get away without mentioning that.
Yeah.
Well, specifically with the disease content is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that was interesting. I was invited by my girlfriend's family, so they got like nicer seats. So that was cool. But yeah, very packed. They had the vendors, so that was good. I didn't like need to get up really. But oh my God, the people sitting behind us, this has nothing to do with being diseased, but they were just like this is how I came up with the idea for the bingo, was just because like every stereotypical thing you could think you would hear at Wrigley, like this just one guy said. It wasn't even the group, it was just one guy in the group. And that was quite the experience.
I like that the experience was so rich that you probably could have actually printed, I don't know what the standard set is. I guess it's infinite, or, you know, whatever the number is. But you could have probably easily done 5 cards like that. It didn't really have to be one. It was more like, gosh, which do I choose here for each square? Because there's some rich content there.
Yeah.
Another observation you had at the Cubs game, Celeste, was one of the jerseys that was sitting in your section, and maybe this is an awkward seg into how the game is being marketed to people who don't look like your host, but given the fact that we are full on in the middle of I guess at the beginnings of, maybe it's going to end pretty quickly. It sure seems like it is, based on the legal representation that we're hearing about for Trevor Bauer. But I'm just curious what your observation has been this season, getting baseball back, getting back to games in both of your cases, and Celeste, you've seen Major League games. Where you sort of stand with where the league is at in terms of how it's trying to outreach, or if it is trying to outreach in the right way, to the right variety of fans, because it does seem like it's got one demographic down pretty well, and maybe it needs to work a little harder at some of the others. I'm curious to know what your feelings, both of your feelings, are on that.
I don't feel like I've particularly been outreached to. Like, I don't know what that would feel like, or what that would look like, or what I should expect. So that's my personal experience with that as a woman. And as I know, they did like pride stuff, and they had Liam Hendricks and his wife talking, and that was cool, because I don't know if like the Cubs did anything for that, but I certainly wouldn't expect them to.
That would be interesting. It would be interesting. Yeah, it would be interesting. Hey, maybe they're at the 85% vaccination rate now that they've traded and released several of their players who are, anyway, different podcast. Julie, what's your take? I mean, just, nothing specific here. Just curious to know, what do you think maybe the league is heading in the right direction, or maybe not, maybe going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, well, they've been doing just a terrible job for a really long time. I mean, that's kind of like the story of Major League Baseball. The institution is just like screwing up over and over again and doing the wrong thing over and over and over again. And the right thing for the bottom line, you know, for the personal profit, but the wrong thing for literally everyone else. So like the whole like descent into barstool embrasure this recent season, like the fans of Trevor Bauer and the fans of Barstool are the same people. Like the Venn diagram is a circle. And that's who Rob Manfred is very specifically trying to reach out to and engage and like keep in the game. And those kind of people actively drive everyone else away. So that is a way to actively get everyone who is not a straight white cis man out of the game. Like it is an active driver of like what, you know, because it feels like baseball hates me by marketing all these people and like all the national writers being like, oh, Trevor Bauer thought his way to being a good pitcher. He's so special. And like, that's exactly the kind of thing that contributes to that culture. And like, I get it, like baseball is very dude oriented. And like when dudes have a culture, it can get in this society very conservative. And a lot, like you see the team owner, you know, the Ricketts, obviously they're extremely conservative. So like between the ownership of teams and the ownership of baseball versus the people that actually legitimately like love baseball and want it to grow for like baseball reasons and not profit reasons, like it's kind of a slap in the face. And it just every day I imagine how cool it would be if baseball was run by people who were not straight white men. Like how amazing, like what different perspectives could we have on this game if it wasn't just the same perspective? So it's one of those things that's been very frustrating for my entire, you know, life of being a baseball fan. And I don't see it going a different way anytime soon, but you know, with every single thing that comes out, it just becomes a little bit harder to care.
It would be a relief if they could just pull back on the aggressively angry, we'll just call it for the time being, we'll call it the barstool movements. But I mean, the truth is, you know, it's been a number of other things, but this is the latest one. If it could just go to sort of like neutral, it doesn't even necessarily, who knows? The same people could be running it if they're just not so aggressively ugly about running the sport. It's sort of, I would say, jaw dropping. I guess it shouldn't be jaw dropping. And Julie, from your lifelong perspective, it's probably not jaw dropping at all, but it still makes you shake your head. And
when you like combine it with the betting stuff, like, you know, MLB is partnering with Barca like specifically for sports betting, which like is a terrible look, I think, for like the institution of Major League Baseball to be like, bet on us, it's all above board. But like to do that with Barstool, who like by industry standards, I'm pretty sure sucks. And that's why like people are like using them because, you know, they're going to get the people that make money on that, a lot of money. But like like you're doing it in the worst possible way. You're doing the worst possible things in the worst possible way. And it's just like, oh my God, hire one competent person. I am begging you. Baseball, I am begging you.
This wasn't necessarily a thought experiment that I was planning on having, but I'm just curious to know the answer because I know what mine is, and Ricketts have come up a couple times. If the Ricketts own the Chicago White Sox, what would your feeling toward the White Sox be and your fandom be? I'll start. I don't usually answer these questions. I will say that I would put my fandom into deep freeze. I don't think I would no longer ever be a fan. I don't think I could be a fan with that ownership. And that's probably some sort of weird two-faced thing because I'm sure Jerry Reinsdorf is evil too. Okay, whatever. But that's a certain flavor of evil that I don't think I could cross that bridge. I'm curious to know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like I don't think Jerry Reinsdorf compares to Ricketts. And I'm sure there's some level of something there, and it would be the lesser of two evils. But I think one of the reasons why I've never questioned my allegiance to the White Sox is I was born into it. I didn't choose the White Sox life.
He does.
One of the reasons why I've never questioned it, or like when I've thought about it, never went the other way, is because like I'm so off put by the Ricketts and their organization. So if, you know, one day they were to come own the White Sox, that would be something I have to think a lot about.
Yeah, I've instituted a self-boycott of the White Sox for the last year or two, just based on my absolute disdain for Jerry Reinsdorf and how he's running this team. But I mean, if it was the Ricketts, I wouldn't even be able to bring myself to like write about them. I would have to pull back entirely. Like I wouldn't.
Yeah, I've asked Cubs fans, the guy who runs the SB Nation site for the Cubs. We actually reach across the aisle sometimes. I don't actually go to the games. I mean, come on, I'm not crazy, but and yeah, it could be rationalization, but it's like, no, my fandom has started long before this. These people come, they will go. My fandom is more precious to me than that, and I'm not saying I'm burning T-shirts. I'm not knocking this thing down and never thinking about the team again and never enjoying my 2005 memories. But to be an active fan, I think it would be beyond challenging. I mean, it's one thing to have Jerry Reinsdorf just collecting money for free year after year after year after year after year, not spending money on the team, etc. That seems so, I mean, certainly no offense intended, Julie, in terms of your own feelings towards him, but even you will acknowledge that is a completely different league than what we're talking about with the Cubs ownership. And I thank God I haven't been confronted with that circumstance yet. But I think fandom would be easy to walk from, or at the very least, just go dormant on. I really do think at worst, I would just put in a deep freeze. Maybe you do pull it back out in 10 years when it's all gone, but then the stink and the stain and the stench is still there. I'm glad I haven't been confronted with that yet. I don't think I could take the attitude of, oh yeah, I've been a fan for 50 years, no sweat. I lived through the Tribune, so this is nothing. Oh, come on. Really? Jeez, I mean, this is active, evil. Boy, we've been talking a lot about evil for this podcast. Yikes. We can't get together again until Halloween, I don't think. This is rough. I hope I've been too terribly negative. Julie, quick, before Zoom decides to run us into the ground, interested in getting your take, given that I know you're certainly, like many, your mean Mercedes super fan. He's obviously had about as big a roller coaster of a season as possible. Curious to know sort of your take. I'm sure a thrill in April, and from there it's been a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's been going on with your mean Mercedes since he was sent down to the minors, and I'm like concerned about all of it. So I support him in anything he does. Like, I think that whatever's going on doesn't really have a relation to how good he is of a hitter, because I think that he's proven time and time again that he's a really, really good hitter. And like, obviously he was going to regress after going 100 for 100 to start the season. And like, he hit pretty hard, and I feel like that probably had a mental effect on him, which kind of probably led to this cycle. But he's back in AAA. The swing is back. The approach is back. Yeah. He's hitting dongs. I don't think that there would be a concern to bring him back up based on the hitting alone. But yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that guy, and I hope he's okay.
It seems like next year there will be a good 50 home runs hit at Charlotte. There are going to be in other organizations, because Mike Rodolfo as well will not be back at the White Sox for 2022. And boy, they are really going to be shipping off a lot of home runs in the offseason, because I'm guessing your mean probably also will not be remaining in the organization based on how some of this.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Rodolfo does get a shot with the White Sox next year.
Yeah, I mean, they got to keep him on the roster, so that's going to be a challenge. Although apparently, yeah.
Last night, the hardest ball in AAA, maybe all of minor league baseball for a home run, 111 miles an hour off the bat. I mean, that guy looks like a major leaguer.
Second base might be open next year. The White Sox don't seem to care about position. There's nothing special about positions anymore. Miker could be playing second base next year. Who's to say? They're going to need somebody there. That's about the most likely opening. What have we missed on? Is there anything as we're winding down that we needed to talk about that we have not spoken on? Things settling in okay. Celeste, this is the final year of law school?
If everything goes accordingly, I didn't scare with my credits. I got that sorted out, but yeah, hopefully if this is the final year and I can get the hell out of Champaign. No offense.
I think Champaign hears that a lot.
What?
I think Champaign hears that a lot, so probably no offense taken.
Yeah,
probably.
And so that would place you, Julie, about a year further along, because you've just done the bar, and that's the end, right? Or does it never end?
It's an open-ended question, because I've not technically passed the bar yet, so we'll see.
So again, in other words, I'm the only one legally allowed to dispense such advice on this podcast. All right, as long as that's clear. Well, we did not get a Vinny cameo, but that's because Vinny is with, oh yeah, Vinny was barking before. And Chico Marks seems to have vacated the premises, but definitely got screen time. So that's really all we care about when it comes to the pets. We need to see them. We need to do them. They're doing all right. Hey, listen, this was fun to do. And, I mean, me, I'm a branding guy, I'm just itching for like a 13th podcast on the Southside Sox Network. But hey, listen, if there's reason before Halloween to get back together, the three of us, I'd love to do it. This is a lot of fun to at least catch up, establish the podcasting firm of Brady and Radogno, and with me providing some of those very wooden Ozzie legal representation commercial. That's my presence here. That's my purpose here. But thanks for doing this. This is a lot of fun, and maybe let's do it again soon sometime. Julie, there's no reason why we can't talk White Sox. It does not. You are not relegated to the minor leagues. You're a big leaguer.
That's so true.
All right. Celeste, Julie, thank you for doing this. Hope the apartment, the house is landed there down in Urbana. Hope Chico Marks is okay there in Winston-Salem. And I'm looking forward to hearing the latest edition of the Maroon 5 song Encounter, because it's never going to end. I don't think it's ever going to end.
Don't hear it now.
Perfect capstone. It's a little late for Maroon 5 guy. He doesn't usually come this late at night.
All right, fair enough. Okay, well, for Maroon 5 guy, for Celeste Radogno, for Chico Marks, for Julie Brady, for Vinny the Wonder Dog, I'm Brett Ballantini. This is the end of Southside Sox podcast number 61. Thanks everybody, as always, for listening, reading, sometimes even watching. And hey, maybe the law firm of Radogno and Brady, or Brady and Radogno and Ballantini still studying, we'll get together again for one of these. But until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.